My new neighbor, a police officer, spotted her and urged me to flee with my son. It was then that I uncovered the startling truth. To our wonderful audience at Cheating Tales Lab, we are eager to know, from which corner of the globe are you tuning in? Please inform us. Let us embark on the journey of today's narrative. Chapter 1. The introduction. James Carter had always taken great pride in his ability to discern the true nature of those around him. In his role as a cybersecurity specialist at a leading tech firm, he dedicated years to the meticulous analysis of patterns, the detection of threats, and the relentless pursuit of staying 3 steps ahead of any potential dangers. As he observed his 6-year-old son, Ethan Miller, darting after butterflies on their suburban lawn, while his wife Charlotte lovingly cared for her rose garden, a profound sense of tranquility enveloped him, affirming his contentment with life. The tranquility was abruptly disrupted by a knock on their door, heralded by none other than Robert Miller. The man, in his late 60s, bore steel-gray hair and a weathered visage that told tales of decades spent in the realm of law enforcement. His handshake exuded strength, his smile radiated warmth, yet Gabriel perceived an additional nuance. Stan swiftly moved past him, heading straight for the backyard where Charlotte was engaged in play with Ethan Miller. "Welcome to the neighborhood," Gabriel declared, as he emerged onto the porch. "My name is James Carter. There stands my beloved wife, Charlotte, alongside our dear son, Ethan Miller." Stan's expression transformed slightly, his jaw clenching in a barely noticeable manner. Robert Miller has recently taken up residence across the street. A veteran of the LAPD, having dedicated 32 years to the service. They engaged in light conversation about the neighborhood, discussing the local schools and sharing recommendations for the finest coffee spots. Yet, Gabriel observed that Stan's gaze continually wandered towards Charlotte, who was presently instructing Ethan Miller on the correct way to water the flowers. In the older man's expression, there lingered an elusive quality that Gabriel found difficult to decipher. Not attraction, but acknowledgement. And beneath that, there lingered an emotion that resembled fear. "What a lovely family you have," Stan remarked, his voice laced with an unusual tension. My sincere gratitude. Charlotte shares a remarkable bond with Ethan Miller. In her past, she dedicated her time to working with children prior to our relocation here. Gabriel beamed with pride. Her ability to connect with children is truly effortless. Stan's complexion drained of color as he rummaged through his jacket pocket, retrieving a weathered leather wallet. For a fleeting instant, Gabriel entertained the notion that the man might unveil images of his own grandchildren. Instead, Stan's fingers quivered ever so slightly as he retrieved something altogether different. "I apologize for bringing this up," Stan murmured, his voice barely rising above a whisper. "What, may I ask, was your wife's maiden name?" Gabriel found himself taken aback by the question. "That's a peculiar inquiry to pose to someone you've only just encountered." "Kindly." Stan's voice carried a palpable urgency that sent a shiver down Gabriel's spine. "It holds significant value." Gabriel observed the older man's visage, taking note of the beads of perspiration that had started to form on his forehead, even in the gentle embrace of the evening air. A sense of unease permeated the air, hinting at something profoundly amiss. Yet Gabriel found himself unable to pinpoint exactly what it was. "Burton," he finally uttered. "Elizabeth Hayes." The impact was swift and catastrophic. Stan's complexion faded, a pallor washing over him as he instinctively recoiled, his hand reaching for the place where his service weapon would have rested had he still been in uniform. "Oh, dear God," Stan murmured. "What seems to be the matter?" Gabriel insisted, a cacophony of alarm bells ringing in his mind. Stan cast a furtive glance around, his heart racing, before leaning in with an air of urgency. His breath carried the rich aroma of coffee, mingled with a barely contained sense of panic. "Depart from this neighborhood with your son, if possible, by tonight. Refrain from revealing the reason to her." "What on earth are you referring to?" Without uttering a word, Stan placed an object into Gabriel's palm. A crumpled, time-worn newspaper clipping, its yellowed edges suggesting it had been tucked away in a wallet for countless years. The paper bore the gentle marks of time and touch, its creases etched in deep and lasting lines. "Peruse this in solitude," Stan remarked, Upon doing so, you will grasp the reason behind my steadfast hold on it for the past 15 years. For 15 years, I have been in search of her. Gabriel gazed intently at the clipping, his heart starting to race. Seeking whom? Your beloved partner. Stan's voice echoed with emptiness, though I question whether that name still holds any meaning for her. The joyous sound of Charlotte's laughter echoed from the backyard as she playfully pursued Ethan Miller through the garden, embodying a scene of pure maternal bliss. Yet now, with Stan's words resonating in his mind, that laughter transformed into something altogether different. I have to go, Stan said abruptly. Yet, Gabriel, whatever path you choose, ensure she remains unaware of your knowledge. Ensure she is never left alone with your son. Before Gabriel could utter a word, Stan strode briskly back across the street, leaving Gabriel on his porch, clutching a piece of paper that now felt as though it bore the weight of 1,000 burdens. Chapter 2. The truth unveiled. Gabriel bided his time, allowing Charlotte to step into the shower before he carefully unfolded the newspaper clipping. His hands trembled as he laid it flat on the desk in his home office, and the sight before him sent a chill coursing through his veins. The chilling headline announced, "Family of 4 discovered slain. Children remain unaccounted for." At the bottom lay a grainy photograph capturing the essence of a crime scene, and just below it, a sharper image of 2 suspects emerged with clarity. A figure stood before Gabriel, a man he did not know, tall and slender, with dark hair that framed a face marked by cold, piercing eyes. Yet the other was undeniably his wife. The photograph was taken 15 years ago, capturing a time when she was younger, her hair shorter, and her eyes framed by different features. Yet it was Charlotte. Undoubtedly, as Gabriel perused the article, his vision began to blur. In a tragic turn of events, the Hendricks family was discovered lifeless within the confines of their Los Angeles residence. A mother, a father, and their teenage daughter. Yet, their 6-year-old son and 4-year-old daughter were nowhere to be found. The main suspects in this unfolding drama were Richard Lawson and his sister, Elizabeth Hayes, who had been running a fraudulent charity aimed at affluent families with young children. The piece elaborated on the siblings' method of pinpointing families with wealth, cultivating friendships through their philanthropic endeavors, and subsequently infiltrating their residences to commit theft. Upon the unexpected return of the Hendricks family during the robbery, tragedy struck, and they met their untimely demise. The children had disappeared, likely spirited away by the Burtons. Gabriel's phone vibrated, signaling a message from Stan. "Let us rendezvous at Riverside Park in 20 minutes. Arrive by yourself. Inform her that you are heading out for a jog later in the evening." With a flurry of thoughts swirling in his mind, Gabriel carefully tucked the clipping into his phone case. All aspects of his marriage abruptly assumed a dark and foreboding significance. Charlotte's hesitance to delve into her history, her firm declaration that her family was no longer alive, and her impressive understanding of security systems had always captivated him. Her unique approach to engaging with children. Oh, Jesus Christ. Her approach to children. "Sweetheart." From the upper floors, Charlotte's voice floated down, a gentle echo of her presence. "Where might you be found?" Perusing a few work emails, Gabriel returned the call, striving to maintain a semblance of normalcy in his voice. "I believe I shall embark on a brief run. This is quite tardy. Sleep eluded me regardless. The arrival of the new neighbor has somewhat disrupted my established routine." A moment of stillness hung in the air. What was it that he desired? Of no significance. He simply presents himself. Gabriel donned his running attire and stepped outside, his thoughts swirling with nightmarish scenarios. If Charlotte truly was the woman depicted in that newspaper clipping, then every facet of their relationship had been built on a foundation of deception. Their encounter at the coffee shop 3 years prior, the fervent romance that followed, and even Ethan Miller. Was Ethan Miller truly his son, or was it all a facade? Stan sat on a bench by the pond, his body coiled with tension, eyes scanning the surroundings with a watchful intensity. Even in retirement, the instincts of a cop were unmistakably at work, fully engaged and alert. "You read it," Stan remarked as Gabriel drew near. "It was not a question. Is that truly her? For the past 15 years, I have been in pursuit of the Burton siblings, Douglas and Charlotte. They aren't truly siblings. They are entwined, accomplices in mischief. The name that truly belongs to Charlotte is Charlotte Steele. She is sought after regarding 3 family homicides and the disappearance of 11 children. Gabriel sank onto the bench, his legs betraying him in a moment of weakness. 11 children? As far as we are aware. Their method remained consistently unchanged. Engage with affluent families through philanthropic endeavors, observe their daily patterns, and devise a plan to infiltrate their lives for nefarious purposes. As the families returned home without warning, Stan's voice faded into silence. The children bartered away. To those who remained silent in their curiosity, Stan's expression was somber. We uncovered hints of a trafficking network, yet never sufficient proof to substantiate it. The Burton siblings consistently managed to remain a step ahead of us. Gabriel pondered Ethan Miller, reflecting on the way Charlotte occasionally regarded him, her gaze holding an enigmatic quality that eluded his understanding. Concerning her unwavering determination to educate him at home, maintaining his separation from peers and their guardians. What prevented you from taking her into custody? Why not give me a warning instead? I find myself in need of your assistance. Stan pivoted to confront him directly. I have stepped away from my career. Gabriel.my authority has slipped away from me. If I report this through the proper channels, she will vanish once more. She has accomplished this in the past. A fresh identity, an unfamiliar city, and a new target. You are the victim. Stan's voice cut through the air with a raw, unfiltered truth. Reflect on the moment you first encountered her. Contemplate the rapid pace at which events unfolded. Consider if you have ever come across any documentation that confirms Ethan Miller as your biological son. Gabriel's world shifted dramatically. What are you implying? Laura Mitchell possesses a remarkable talent for identifying accomplished men who would excel as both fathers and providers. For years, she has meticulously crafted her plans. Gabriel, you and Ethan Miller, this entire suburban existence, it's merely a piece of an elaborate ruse. Yet Ethan Miller is, what is his age? The tender age of 6. The Hendricks boy vanished without a trace. Stan allowed that to settle in his mind. While I'm not asserting that Ethan Miller is the offspring of Hendricks, I am suggesting that Charlotte has a distinct preference in the individuals she pursues. Gabriel was overcome by a wave of nausea. What is it that you wish for me to accomplish? Assist me in uncovering her true identity. And, most crucially, assist me in rescuing those children. Stan's gaze was unyielding. Rest assured, Gabriel, she has more in store. She is never that way. Chapter 3. The masquerade begins to crumble. Gabriel stepped through the door, greeted by the sight of Charlotte in the kitchen. A cup of tea, warm and inviting, rested in her hands, but it was the look on her face, one he had never encountered, that truly captured his attention. It lacked the tender, affectionate gaze of the woman he had vowed to love. It was methodical, almost sinister. "How was your run?" she inquired. "Excellent. I found it necessary to clear my mind." Gabriel approached the refrigerator, retrieving a bottle of water, granting himself a moment to ponder. The arrival of the new neighbor truly caught me by surprise. There was an undeniable sense of familiarity about him. Charlotte's voice carried a veneer of nonchalance, yet Gabriel noticed the subtle tightening of her shoulders. What name did he claim as his own? Robert Miller, former member of the LAPD. The teacup clinked softly against the saucer as Charlotte placed it down, a delicate shiver that would have gone unnoticed by most. Yet Gabriel remained vigilant, scrutinizing each subtle shift, every revealing sign. "Did he mention which part of LA he worked in?" she inquired. "Not in particular." "What is this?" "There is no explanation." I find myself pondering. Charlotte rose and approached the sink, yet Gabriel observed that she had strategically placed herself to maintain a view of both him and the staircase that ascended to Ethan Miller's room. "Gabriel, I've been pondering the idea of us embarking on a vacation. Perhaps a journey to Oregon awaits, where the coast beckons to be explored." "That sounds delightful. What thoughts were crossing your mind?" On the morrow, Gabriel found himself on the brink of choking as the water caught in his throat. "Did I ask it tomorrow already?" That comes as quite a surprise. I understand, yet there's been a sense of restlessness within me as of late. It seems we are in need of a shift in our surroundings. Charlotte pivoted to confront him, and for a fleeting instant, her facade fell away completely. The woman gazing at him was not the beloved partner he cherished. She remained an enigma, a perilous unknown figure. We might set off at the break of dawn, transform it into an exhilarating journey. What is the status of my work? The pursuits of Ethan Miller. Remote work is an option available to you. Ethan Miller found himself yearning for a respite from the monotony of his daily life. Her voice held a sharpness now, teetering on the brink of control. I truly believe it would be wise for us to go, Gabriel. An undeniable conviction stirs within me regarding this matter. Gabriel's phone vibrated with a sudden urgency. A message from Stan. She senses that something is amiss. Exercise caution. I ought to inform my boss if we're departing tomorrow, Gabriel remarked. I'll just take a moment to send a brief email. Certainly. I shall go and see how Ethan Miller is faring. Gabriel observed as Charlotte ascended the staircase, then swiftly crafted a reply to Stan. She intends to depart the town at dawn tomorrow. What steps should I take? The reply arrived without delay. Delay her. I'm reaching out to some former colleagues who may be able to assist me informally. Ensure that she does not take Ethan Miller anywhere by himself. As the sound of Charlotte's footsteps echoed on the stairs, Gabriel swiftly tucked his phone out of sight. She stood in the doorway, a radiant smile gracing her lips, yet her eyes told a different story. Ethan Miller is deep in slumber. The poor little fellow was utterly worn out from all that frolicking in the great outdoors. She edged nearer to Gabriel, her fingers gliding softly along his arm. It seems we need not postpone our plans until the morrow. Tonight could be our moment to depart. I said tonight? Charlotte, that's absolutely wild. The hour approaches 11. Children delight in the thrill of nocturnal escapades. We might embark on a journey under the cloak of night. Pause at one of those quaint motels that dot the coastline. Ethan Miller would find it utterly thrilling. Gabriel felt a shiver run down his spine. Every instinct within him clamored to seize Ethan Miller and flee, yet he compelled himself to maintain his composure. Why the haste? Oregon will remain a steadfast presence come tomorrow. For a fleeting instant, a shadow crossed Charlotte's face. There is no need to hurry. It seems to me that opting for safety would be the wiser choice. More secure? You're aware of my tendency to fret. Concerning the nature of crime. Concerning the unfamiliar faces within the community, her smile returned. Yet it bore an edge as keen as a blade. Particularly the new neighbors. One can never truly discern the true nature of individuals. Once more, Gabriel's phone vibrated with urgency. Charlotte's gaze was drawn to it at once. Who could possibly be messaging you at this hour? She inquired. Most likely just a barrage of work-related spam. Gabriel feigned indifference to the ringing phone. Indeed, you make a valid point regarding the vacation. It seems that a respite from our daily routines would be beneficial for everyone. However, let us proceed with precision. Ensure your belongings are neatly arranged. Secure your accommodations, and consider incorporating enjoyable detours throughout your journey. I suppose you have a point. Charlotte's voice carried a tension that was palpable. It seems it's time for me to retire for the night. A significant day of strategizing awaits us tomorrow. As she pressed her lips to his cheek, Gabriel struggled to suppress the instinctive urge to pull away. Her lips brushed against his skin, a chill that sent shivers down his spine. Once she ascended the stairs, Gabriel glanced at his phone. Stan's message was succinct. Discovered Richard Lawson. He has arrived in town. Whatever scheme is afoot, it is set to unfold in the near future. Gabriel meticulously secured every door and window, then sank into the living room chair, positioning himself to keep a watchful eye on both the front door and the stairs. Sleep would elude him tonight. He dared not take that chance. In the depths of the house, a floorboard let out a soft creak. Gabriel's head jerked upward, his attention fully captured. The noise echoed once more, and he understood it was emanating from Ethan Miller's room. With a quiet determination, Gabriel ascended the stairs, each step measured and deliberate. Ethan Miller's door stood slightly ajar, and through the narrow opening, he caught sight of Charlotte perched on the edge of their son's bed, gently stroking his hair. Her voice was a soft murmur, elusive and just beyond Gabriel's grasp. As he approached, he seized glimpses. One must tread softly, embracing the stillness. Extraordinary journey? As we rehearsed, right? Gabriel felt his blood freeze in his veins. Charlotte was getting Ethan Miller ready for something, and with all that he had absorbed this evening, Gabriel was convinced it wasn't a simple family getaway to Oregon. Chapter 4. The web unraveled, and Gabriel found himself wide awake. Instead, he devoted the night to delving into every piece of information he could uncover about Elizabeth Hayes and Richard Lawson online. What he uncovered cast his deepest anxieties in a surprisingly hopeful light. The Burton siblings had carved a path of destruction through 3 states over the last 15 years. The newspaper clipping that Stan had revealed to him was merely the starting point. 7 other cases unfolded, families ensnared in tragedy, children vanished, and bodies discovered weeks later. The children remained lost to time, their fates shrouded in mystery. As the first light of dawn began to creep in at 5 a.m., Gabriel detected a stirring from the floor above. Charlotte stirred from her slumber, her movements imbued with an unexpected fervor. He caught her presence in Ethan Miller's room once more, then in their bedroom, and finally in the guest room. She was meticulously arranging her belongings. His phone vibrated, signaling an incoming call from Stan. "We must act quickly," Stan declared, cutting straight to the chase. "I located Sarah Ramirez. Before my retirement, she collaborated with me on the Burton case. She has consented to assist us in an unofficial capacity, yet we require proof. Compelling proof that Charlotte is indeed the person we believe her to be." "What do you mean?" "Fingerprints, DNA, elements that tether her to the crimes. We must seek out Douglas. Last night I lost his trail." Gabriel caught the sound of footsteps ascending the stairs. "I must take my leave. She is making her way down." Charlotte made her entrance into the kitchen, impeccably dressed, her hands gripping 2 sizable suitcases alongside Ethan Miller's backpack. "Good morning, my dear." Rest eluded me, prompting me to take the initiative and prepare for our upcoming journey. "Please pack for me." "Simply the fundamentals. We can procure whatever else we require along our journey." She placed Ethan Miller's backpack on the counter, and Gabriel observed that it was swollen with more than mere clothes and toys. "That I had envisioned us setting off by 7. Conquer the congestion. What shall we have for breakfast?" "The morning ritual of Ethan Miller. We shall pause at a delightful spot for our morning meal. Ethan Miller has a deep affection for McDonald's." Charlotte glided toward the stairs. "I shall rouse him from his slumber." In a swift motion, Gabriel interjected, "Allow me to fetch him." "You're aware of the irritable mood he falls into when disturbed from his slumber at an early hour." Charlotte halted, her fingers resting on the banister. "That's kind of you, but I believe it's best if I do." "Indeed, truly. Allow me to take care of this." Gabriel positioned himself between her and the stairs. "Your efforts with the packing have been truly commendable." I end that fleeting instant. Their gazes locked, and Gabriel caught a glimpse of an emotion dancing across Charlotte's features. First comes the calculation, followed by resignation, and then a descent into something far more sinister. "Certainly," she replied at last. "Gabriel, you truly embody the essence of a wonderful father." Gabriel ascended the staircase, his heart racing with anticipation. In Ethan Miller's room, he discovered his son peacefully slumbering, an image of innocence and vulnerability clad in his race car pajamas. Gabriel softly roused him from his slumber. "Greetings, my friend. Seems we have matters to discuss. Wouldn't you agree?" With a gentle motion, Ethan Miller delicately rubbed his eyes. "Are we embarking on the journey that Mom mentioned to me?" Gabriel felt a chill seep through his veins. "Which journey did Mother share with you?" "The extraordinary individual. She instructed that we may need to move swiftly, advising me to refrain from questioning and to follow her directions precisely." Ethan Miller wore a look of bewilderment. "She appeared to be changed, Dad. Perhaps a touch of fear lingers." Gabriel sank to his knees beside the bed. "Ethan Miller, I require your full attention as I speak to you." There's an unsettling feeling in the air, and we may have to make our exit swiftly, though not alongside Mom. Could you summon your utmost courage for me? Ethan Miller inclined his head with a grave expression. Please put on your clothes, but kindly leave your backpack behind. Is it possible for you to accomplish that silently? While Ethan Miller slipped into his clothes with a quiet determination, Gabriel sent a message to Stan. Urgent assistance required. This morning, she intends to take Ethan Miller with her. Seems that Douglas is on his way. The reply came without delay. Marie journeys forth. Ensure they remain indoors until her arrival. With a gentle touch, Gabriel assisted Ethan Miller in fastening his shoes before quietly making his way to the window that framed the view of the front yard. A sleek black sedan, unfamiliar to Gabriel, sat idling across the street, its driver shrouded in shadow. As he observed, the silhouette lifted a phone to his ear. From his vantage point below, Gabriel caught the sound of Charlotte's phone ringing. Indeed, he caught her words. He harbors a sense of suspicion. It is imperative that we take action immediately. Gabriel's heart raced within the confines of his chest. The hourglass had run dry. Ethan Miller, he murmured softly. Let us embark on a delightful game, shall we? We shall embark on a covert mission, slipping out of the house undetected by Mom, as if we were clandestine operatives. Is Mother the antagonist in this narrative? Gabriel locked eyes with his son, recognizing a depth of intelligence that pierced through him, leaving his heart aching. Indeed, my friend. It seems to me that she could very well be. As they stealthily approached the back stairs, a sudden sound from Charlotte's voice froze them in their tracks at the landing. Is that you, Gabriel? Is that you, Ethan Miller? Would you kindly descend to this location? A visitor has arrived. Gabriel cautiously glanced around the corner, his eyes landing on Charlotte, who was poised in the living room. Beside her stood a slender figure, a tall man with dark hair and piercing, cold eyes, the gentleman captured in the photograph featured in the newspaper. Richard Lawson. Hello, Gabriel, Douglas said, his voice laced with a subtle accent that eluded Gabriel's understanding. Charlotte has shared a great deal about you with me. With a swift motion, Gabriel shielded Ethan Miller, his thoughts racing through a myriad of possibilities. The rear entrance loomed distant, the windows towered above, and Douglas stood in a prime position, effectively obstructing any chance of escape. I believe there has been a bit of a misunderstanding, Gabriel remarked. There is no confusion here. Douglas offered a smile, revealing teeth tinged with a yellow hue. Much to Gabriel's notice, we are fully aware of your identity, James Carter. As if we were already familiar with the Hendricks family, and the Johnsons who came before them, and the Matthews that came before them. Charlotte edged nearer to the stairs, effectively blocking that avenue of escape. Gabriel, please escort Ethan Miller down here. At this moment, I have my doubts about that. With a swift motion, Douglas delved into the depths of his jacket, retrieving a gun with a sense of purpose that I wasn't genuinely inquiring. Chapter 5. The Hunter becomes the hunted. Gabriel's cybersecurity training instilled in him the art of foresight, enabling him to envision potential system vulnerabilities long before they could be seized upon. Now, confronted by armed assailants within the sanctuary of his own home, his sharp analytical skills surged into high gear. Very well, Gabriel remarked, lifting his hands in a gesture of surrender. We are descending. As he made his way down the stairs, with Ethan Miller trailing closely behind, Gabriel's gaze meticulously absorbed every detail around him. The arrangement of the furniture, the proximity to the windows, and the observation that Douglas gripped the gun with his non-dominant hand, all revealed by his stance. Above all, Gabriel observed that Charlotte frequently cast her gaze toward the front window, clearly on the lookout for something, indicating that they were anticipating additional visitors. Sit down, Douglas commanded, motioning to the couch with the firearm in hand. Gabriel settled into his seat, drawing Ethan Miller in with a gentle embrace. What is it that you desire? This is what we've always desired, Charlotte remarked. An enriching existence. A life of security. Regrettably, your inquisitive neighbor has added layers of complexity to the situation. Stan remains blissfully unaware. Robert Miller, Douglas remarked, enunciating the name as if it were distasteful, has been a persistent irritant for 15 years. He nearly apprehended us in Sacramento. We nearly got caught in Phoenix. Now he has arrived, and he has been inquiring. Charlotte approached the window, her gaze penetrating the slats of the blinds. Where could he possibly be, I wonder? I would have anticipated him to come storming over here by now. Gabriel's phone, abandoned on the coffee table, erupted into life with a sudden buzz, announcing the arrival of a text. Charlotte seized it before he had a chance to respond. "The FBI is just 20 minutes away," she announced, her voice steady and clear, encouraged the conversation to flow. Charlotte raised her gaze to meet Douglas's eyes. "He has summoned federal reinforcements." Douglas unleashed a torrent of curses. "It is time for us to embark on a journey. Now, what shall we say about Hawkins? We shall attend to him at a later time. At this moment, we seize the child and vanish into the shadows." Gabriel sensed the quiver of Ethan Miller pressed close to him. "My son will not be going anywhere with you. The boy you call your son." Charlotte's laughter rang out, yet it bore no resemblance to the warm, enchanting sound that had captured Gabriel's heart. "Is it Gabriel? Darling, Ethan Miller is not your child." The word struck Gabriel with the force of a tangible impact. "What is this? Did you genuinely believe it was mere chance that our paths crossed just after I settled into this town? Was I truly this flawless woman who merely adored all the things you cherished?" Charlotte's mask had been discarded, unveiling a glimpse of something feral lurking beneath. "For half a year, I delved into your world, gathering fragments of your story, long before our paths serendipitously crossed at that quaint coffee shop. However, the DNA test was fabricated. It's remarkable how much can be achieved with a touch of chemistry insight and the simple tool of a toothbrush." Charlotte's smile was laced with cruelty. "Ethan Miller embodies the essence of Ethan Miller. We have been preparing him for acquisition by a discerning client seeking a child with particular traits." Gabriel gazed down at Ethan Miller and Kyle, recognizing his own shock and confusion mirrored in the boy's eyes. Yet, beneath the surface, Gabriel discerned something more. Faith. In the midst of chaos, this child placed unwavering trust in him. "What about the other children?" Gabriel inquired. "Acquired by those willing to pay the most. Affluent individuals who are unable to conceive or possess particular preferences." Douglas glanced at his watch. "It is time for us to depart. Charlotte, please fetch the van." "There's no van out there," Gabriel remarked. "Merely a sedan." Douglas offered a chilling smile. "Reassess once more." Gabriel turned his gaze to the window, where a white van was making its way into the driveway. Chilled to the bone, he grasped the extent of the meticulous planning that had unfolded before him. Yet, in that moment, a sound reached his ears, causing his heart to soar with excitement. The faint wail of sirens echoed in the distance. "They've arrived ahead of schedule," Charlotte whispered sharply. Douglas' expression grew somber. "Adjustments have been made to the itinerary. We exit through the rear. Venture into the woods that lie just beyond the house. What is the status of our client? He awaits the arrival today. We shall devise a solution. Advance." Gabriel rose to his feet as Douglas waved the gun in a commanding manner. As they made their way to the back door, he intentionally tripped, toppling a side table and sending a lamp tumbling to the ground with a resounding crash. Awkwardly, Douglas growled. Yet Gabriel had achieved his desired outcome. The pause allowed him a fleeting view of the police cars as they rounded the corner onto their street. Visible through the front window as they stepped into the backyard, Gabriel's gaze fell upon the path to freedom that lay before him. A serene woodland that gently sloped down to a babbling creek. If Charlotte and Douglas lured Ethan Miller into those woods, the police might never locate them before it was too late. Yet, Gabriel possessed a singular advantage that his captors remained blissfully unaware of. He had spent his formative years amidst these woods. His childhood was a tapestry woven with the threads of exploration, each trail, every hidden nook, and all the secret shortcuts beckoning him to discover their stories, if he could find a way to lead Ethan Miller away from them once they entered the trees. "Move faster," Douglas commanded, jabbing the gun into Gabriel's side. As they neared the edge of the forest, Gabriel caught the sound of voices raised in urgency from the front of the house. The police had made their entrance, yet they were charging into a vacant dwelling. "This way," Charlotte said, guiding them onto a faintly discernible path. Gabriel's smile was tinged with a hint of darkness. She led them deeper into the woods, away from any chance of assistance, yet onto ground where Gabriel held every advantage. The moment had arrived to reverse the fortunes. Chapter 6. Into the woods. The forest behind Gabriel's house stood tall and ancient, a tapestry of old-growth trees and lush underbrush, woven together by hiking trails that lay forgotten, waiting for the curious to uncover their secrets. Yet Gabriel had traversed these trails since he was the same age as Ethan Miller, holding a knowledge that eluded both Charlotte and Douglas. The path they traversed culminated in a sheer drop at a daunting ravine. With determination, Charlotte insisted, navigating her way through the dense undergrowth. The van rests at the far edge of these woods. With a knowing glance, Gabriel locked eyes with Ethan Miller and gestured discreetly to the left, where a concealed path diverged from the well-trodden trail. Ethan Miller offered a barely noticeable nod in the distance. The sound of police combing through the house reached Gabriel's ears. Their voices dwindled, fading into the distance as Charlotte guided them further into the heart of the woods. Douglas maintained his aim on Gabriel's back, yet Gabriel could sense the man's labored breaths, a clear indication of his unfamiliarity with physical strain. "How much farther must we go?" Douglas gasped for breath. "Not far," Charlotte replied. Yet Gabriel detected a hint of uncertainty woven into her words. She found herself adrift. "Flawless." "Indeed," Gabriel remarked, "it seems you overlooked a turn back there. This path leads to unexpected destinations." Charlotte twirled gracefully. "What are you referring to?" "The woods shrouded in mystery. For 2 decades, I have traversed their paths. We are being guided toward Miller's Ravine. The descent measures a staggering 40 feet, culminating in a perilous landing upon the jagged rocks below." Douglas seized Gabriel's arm. "Is he being honest?" Charlotte's face burned with the heat of effort and a rising sense of dread. "How could I possibly know? This place is unfamiliar to me. I have yet to return here. So, what prompted you to say there was a van waiting for me?" "For that is precisely what you instructed me to express." Gabriel observed the escalating dispute among his captors with a sense of satisfaction. The weight of stress was rendering them careless, sowing discord among them. "The trail you seek lies in that direction," Gabriel offered with a hint of encouragement. "However, the path is quite narrow, requiring you to proceed in single file." Douglas cast a wary glance around him. "This does not appeal to me. It is time for us to return." "Returning is not an option." Charlotte's patience frayed. "Officers have arrived at the residence." As the argument escalated, Gabriel seized the moment to capture Ethan Miller's gaze once more, silently urging him to flee by gesturing toward their path to freedom. Ethan Miller's eyes widened in fear, yet he managed to nod in response. Gabriel bided his time, poised for that ideal instant when Charlotte glanced forward, her attention drawn to the path ahead, while Douglas's focus wavered, captivated by a rustle in the underbrush. With a swift motion, he seized Ethan Miller's hand and plunged into the dense underbrush, the world around them blurring into a tapestry of green and brown. "Hurry, hurry, hurry," Gabriel urged as they barreled through the undergrowth. In the distance, the echoes of Douglas's shouts mingled with Charlotte's commanding voice, slicing through the chaos. The concealed trail was scarcely broad enough for them to traverse in a single line, choked with thorns and brambles that snagged at their garments. Yet Gabriel was certain of his destination. A long-forgotten hunting cabin, shrouded in mystery, lay nestled within a grove of towering pine trees, a mere half-mile from the well-trodden main trail. "I can't run anymore," Ethan Miller gasped, breathless and weary. With a swift motion, Gabriel lifted the boy into his embrace, pressing onward, his lungs aflame with exertion. Behind him, the sounds of their pursuers echoed through the woods, drawing nearer with each passing moment. The cabin emerged from the trees, a vision of wonder. A diminutive, time-worn edifice, its windows sealed with boards and a door precariously dangling from its hinges, with a gentle yet firm motion. Gabriel entered the room and carefully placed Ethan Miller on the ground. "Stay quiet," he whispered, then shifted to the window, his eyes searching through a narrow opening between the boards. Charlotte and Douglas stepped out from the shadows of the trees, a mere 50 yards distant, their expressions marked by frustration and their breaths heavy with exertion. Douglas brandished the gun with reckless abandon, his eyes darting through the dense foliage of the forest. "They can't have gone too far," Douglas panted, breathless and determined. "So where might they be?" Charlotte retorted sharply. Gabriel observed as they diverged, each embarking on their own path. This was his moment. He possessed a deeper understanding of these woods than they ever could, and there was another truth he held close: that an old ranger station stood a mile north of this very spot, its radio still crackling with life. "Ethan Miller," Gabriel murmured, "shall we embark on another thrilling adventure in the secret agent game? Then, our destination is the ranger station, where we must summon assistance. What of the villains? We shall outwit them." With a gentle nudge, Gabriel guided Ethan Miller from the cabin's rear, unveiling a concealed path that beckoned them forward. This one was so overgrown that it seemed to vanish from sight. They advanced with caution, Gabriel pausing often to attune his ears to any signs of being followed. 20 minutes later, they arrived at the ranger station, a quaint wooden structure crowned by a radio tower. Gabriel approached the door, his hand reaching out to test the handle, and to his surprise, it turned easily, revealing an unbarred entrance. The radio equipment, though aged, remained operational. With a firm grip on the microphone, Gabriel adjusted the dial to the emergency frequency. "Allow me to introduce myself. I am James Carter, and I find myself at the weathered ranger station nestled within the depths of Millfield Woods, accompanied by a child who has been taken against their will. We find ourselves in the crosshairs of armed individuals, Elizabeth Hayes and Richard Lawson, who are sought after for their involvement in a series of child abductions and murders. Immediate assistance is required." The reply came without delay. "Gabriel, this is Detective Santos from the FBI. Your presence has been eagerly anticipated. Remain in your current position. Teams are advancing into the woods from 3 distinct directions." Gabriel experienced a fleeting wave of relief, yet it was ephemeral. Beyond the glass, he caught a glimpse of something stirring among the branches. Charlotte had discovered them. "They've arrived," Gabriel communicated through the radio. "Assistance is merely 2 minutes distant. Find a secure location and maintain your position." Gabriel surveyed the modest ranger station, taking in its surroundings. Only a single door stood before them, while the windows loomed too diminutive for any hope of escape. They found themselves ensnared. Outside, Charlotte's voice rang out. "Gabriel, I am aware of your presence within. Release Ethan Miller, and I shall grant you your life." Gabriel inspected the station's emergency supplies, uncovering exactly what he needed. A flare gun and a first aid kit may not have been substantial, yet it would suffice. "I will shield you from harm," he assured Ethan Miller, "regardless of what may come." The boy gazed up at him, his eyes filled with unwavering trust. "I have faith in you, Dad." "Father," the word struck Gabriel with the force of a lightning bolt. This child may not share his blood, yet he was Gabriel's son in every sense that truly counted, and Gabriel was determined to ensure it remained so. Chapter 7. The Reckoning. The radio at the ranger station emitted a series of crackles, delivering updates as FBI teams converged from various angles. Yet, Gabriel understood that Charlotte and Douglas would not bide their time for reinforcements to show up. From his vantage point by the window, he observed them arranging themselves, readying for an attack on the modest structure. "Gabriel," Charlotte's voice resonated through the clearing. "This is only complicating matters for you. Release the boy, and we shall all depart from this situation." Gabriel examined the flare gun, noting it contained a single shot. The first aid kit revealed a modest supply of gauze and medical tape, yet offered little in the way of assistance for a confrontation. He positioned Ethan Miller in the corner, the one furthest from the door and the windows. "Regardless of what unfolds, remain still and silent," Gabriel murmured. "The heroes are on their way, yet we must endure until their arrival." Fear gripped Ethan Miller as he confessed, "I'm scared." Same here, my friend. Yet, feeling fear is perfectly acceptable. It signifies that we are fully engaged. A sudden crash outside caused Gabriel to whirl around, his gaze fixed on the window. With a fallen branch in hand, Douglas navigated the dense underbrush, forging a clear path toward the station's front door. Charlotte shifted to the side window, straining to glimpse through the cracks in the boards. Gabriel arrived at a conclusion. The strategy of passive defense was destined to fail. He had to seize the moment. "Hear me," he shouted. "I see through the facade you present to the world. I am well aware of the Hendricks family, the vanished children, and everything surrounding it. The FBI has arrived. Now is your greatest opportunity to yield." "Is it the FBI?" Douglas chuckled. Yet beneath the surface, Gabriel detected a hint of unease. "Your words ring hollow. Sarah Ramirez, formerly of the LAPD, now enjoys her retirement alongside Robert Miller. A case has been meticulously constructed against you over the years. Your task is complete. Quietude envelopes the world beyond." Gabriel seized the opportunity to take refuge behind an overturned desk, seeking the protection it offered. Then Charlotte's voice emerged, transformed, cold and calculating. "Do you know, Gabriel? Indeed, you are correct. Our task is complete, yet we shall be taking the boy along with us." The initial shot fractured the window, propelling shards and splinters into the air. With a swift motion, Gabriel yanked Ethan Miller deeper behind the desk just as Douglas forcefully breached the door. "This is your final opportunity." Gabriel, with a steady hand, Gabriel lifted the flare gun, pausing in anticipation. As Douglas crossed the threshold, framed by the brilliance behind him, Gabriel pulled the trigger. The flare struck Douglas directly in the chest, setting his shirt ablaze and propelling him backward, where he stumbled, screaming and frantically swatting at the flames. The weapon slipped from his grasp, skittering across the ground with a sharp clatter. With a sudden burst of energy, Gabriel reached for the weapon, yet Charlotte outpaced him, leaping through the window's opening and seizing it in one swift motion. "That was a blunder," she hissed, aiming the gun squarely at Gabriel. Yet, just as she prepared to pull the trigger, the thrum of helicopters pierced the atmosphere, and through the shattered window echoed the commanding voice of FBI agents. "Elizabeth Hayes and Richard Lawson, you find yourselves encircled. Lay down your arms and emerge with your hands in plain sight." Charlotte's gaze darted to the window, and in that fleeting moment, Gabriel recognized his opportunity. With a sudden burst of energy, he propelled himself toward her, wrapping his arms around her waist, and together they collided with the wall in a chaotic tumble. The shot rang out, the bullet lodging itself in the ceiling above. Gabriel and Charlotte grappled for dominance over the weapon, tumbling across the floor of the cramped station. Gabriel loomed larger and more powerful, yet Charlotte battled with the fierce urgency of one who understood that capture meant the end of everything she held dear. With a fierce determination, she dragged her fingernails across his face, aiming for his eyes. "You fail to grasp the situation." She let out a sharp hiss as they struggled against each other. "The value of that boy to our client stands at $2 million. We shall not relinquish that. He goes by the name of Ethan Miller." Gabriel let out a low growl, his determination surging as he successfully pinned her wrist to the floor. "He is my son. Your child." Charlotte let out a harsh, mirthless laugh. "He doesn't even come close to being Ethan Miller. Do you seek to uncover the truth? That boy is among the 11 children we've welcomed into our lives over the years. We held on to him, for he possessed the perfect age and the ideal appearance that suited you. We shaped him into the ideal son for the flawless target." Gabriel sensed the ground shift beneath him. "You are not being truthful. His true name is Noah Brooks. At the tender age of 2, we found him in a park in Denver, ready to embark on a new journey with us. His biological parents exhausted every resource in their desperate search for him, only to ultimately surrender to despair as shock coursed through him." Gabriel's hold on Charlotte's wrist began to falter. In that fleeting moment of uncertainty, Charlotte seized her chance, breaking free and lunging for the gun. Yet, she never arrived at it. The station door burst open, and FBI agents clad in tactical gear surged into the room. Charlotte stood before a formidable array of 5 assault rifles. Outside, the anguished cries of Douglas pierced the air as paramedics worked diligently to tend to his burns. "Elizabeth Hayes," Detective Santos announced, entering the room with her weapon at the ready. "You are hereby taken into custody for the grave offenses of kidnapping, murder, and child trafficking." As the agents secured Charlotte in handcuffs, Gabriel enveloped Ethan Miller, Michael, or whoever he was, in a protective embrace. "Has it come to an end?" the young lad murmured softly. Gabriel gazed down at the child who had uttered the word "Dad," who had placed unwavering trust in him for protection, who had endured unspeakable horrors that no child should ever have to face. "It's over," Gabriel declared with conviction. "You are now in a place of safety." Chapter 8. Truth and Consequences. The FBI field office in downtown thrummed with energy, agents diligently working through the most significant breakthrough in a case that had lingered for 15 long years. In the confines of a conference room, Gabriel found himself seated alongside Ethan Miller. That he found it impossible to conceive of the boy as anything but that name. As Detective Santos and David Johnson meticulously reviewed their statements for the 3rd time. "You performed admirably out there," Agent Rodriguez remarked, as he shut his notebook with a decisive snap. "Your swift decision-making likely preserved countless lives." From the vantage point of the conference room window, Gabriel observed Charlotte being escorted down the corridor in shackles, flanked by federal marshals. She bore no resemblance to the woman he had once vowed to love. The mask had entirely slipped away, exposing a chilling and ravenous essence lurking beneath. "What is her fate now?" Gabriel inquired. Detective Santos elaborated that she will face federal charges for the crimes of kidnapping and trafficking, yet multiple states are eager to pursue murder charges against her as well. She faces a future bound by the unyielding chains of life without parole, at the very least. Richard Lawson is collaborating, providing us with insights into their network in return for a reprieve from the death penalty. Gabriel's arm encircled Ethan Miller with a firm grip, the silence between them stretching thin, as Ethan Miller had hardly uttered a word since their escape. "Ethan Miller, it's a tangled web we weave." Agent Rodriguez shared a fleeting look with Detective Santos. "It has been verified that the child you recognize as Ethan Miller is, in fact, Noah Brooks, who was taken from a park in Denver 5 years prior. 5 years have passed. Yet he has been with Charlotte for 3 years, ever since he was just 3 years old. Prior to that, he found himself in the custody of other individuals within their trafficking network." Detective Santos spoke with a softness that carried an undeniable strength. "Gabriel, the biological parents of Michael are still living. They have received the message, and they are en route this evening." Gabriel experienced a sensation akin to a blow to the gut. "Am I really meant to let him go? It is not merely a straightforward matter. Michael has endured profound trauma. He has been shaped to perceive you as his father, and a sudden separation could inflict further psychological harm." Agent Rodriguez inclined his body, drawing closer. "We advocate for a measured shift, accompanied by thorough guidance for all parties concerned." Ethan Miller gazed up at Gabriel, his eyes reflecting a depth of experience that spoke volumes. "Am I truly not your son?" Gabriel's heart shattered. "Biology alone does not define a father." Ethan Miller adored us, and my love for you surpasses everything else in this world. Yet, I possess additional guardians. Indeed, my friend, those who cherished you and sought your presence each and every day since your absence." Ethan Miller remained silent for an extended pause. "Do they hold me in their hearts as deeply as you do?" "I believe they do. It seems fortune has smiled upon me. Not every child is fortunate enough to be surrounded by such an abundance of love." Gabriel struggled to hold back tears in the presence of the child's profound simplicity. Detective Santos rose to his feet. "Gabriel, a visitor has arrived who wishes to make your acquaintance." As she swung the door open, Robert Miller stepped inside, his appearance betraying a weariness beyond his years, yet a sense of relief washed over him. "I never had the chance to properly thank you," Stan said, reaching out his hand. "Your actions today demonstrated true bravery. You are the one who delivered us from peril. If you had not recognized Charlotte, had you not placed your trust in me and responded to that realization, Charlotte and Douglas would have slipped away once more, leaving us to search for them even 15 years down the line. Stan settled into a chair. This case has been my pursuit since my early days as a detective. I have witnessed the impact they have on families, on children. At long last, we succeeded in halting their advance. What can be said about their network? Are there additional children beyond what we know? Douglas is providing us with names, locations, and all the information he possesses. Raids have been conducted in 4 cities, resulting in the recovery of 6 children. Stan's smile held a grim satisfaction. Patience is essential, yet we are determined to reunite them all with their loved ones. Gabriel cast his gaze downward at Ethan Miller, who had succumbed to slumber, resting peacefully against his shoulder. What unfolds next? At this moment, Detective Santos declared, our attention shifts toward healing. Each and every one of us. Chapter 9. New beginnings. 6 months had passed, and Gabriel found himself in the backyard of his new home. A quaint little spot on the other side of town, distant from the echoes of his former neighborhood. The boxes that once held our lives were finally emptied, and the yard began to take on the warmth of home. Father, might you lend me your assistance with this matter? Ethan Miller's voice echoed from the garden, where he wrestled with the task of planting tomatoes in the raised bed they had crafted together. With a warm smile, Gabriel made his way over. Dad remained steadfast even after Ethan Miller and Michael were reunited with their biological parents, David and Emily Parker. The journey had proven challenging for all parties concerned, yet the guidance received had been beneficial, leading to the gradual formation of an unconventional family dynamic. During the weekdays, Ethan Miller immersed himself in the lives of the Pattersons, forging connections with his birth parents and the younger sister who had come into the world after his unexpected absence. Yet weekends belonged to Gabriel, and as summer unfolded, they shared their time with greater balance. How are the tomatoes progressing? Gabriel knelt beside his son, a question lingering in the air. Excellent. Sarah showed me the art of securing them to stakes, ensuring they stand tall and unwavering. Ethan Miller began referring to his birth mother by her first name, while Gabriel continued to be called Dad, a solution that satisfied all parties involved. She mentioned that we can prepare salsa once they reach ripeness. That resonates beautifully. In a serene hush, they toiled together, Gabriel reflecting on the remarkable resilience of children. Ethan Miller occasionally found himself haunted by nightmares, with certain triggers capable of plunging him into panic. Yet, through the support of therapy and the affection of several families, he was on the path to healing. Father, Ethan Miller asked abruptly, do you believe Charlotte will ever be released from prison? Gabriel had long anticipated this question with a sense of foreboding. Absolutely not, my friend. She is destined to remain behind bars for the entirety of her existence. Excellent. Ethan Miller's voice carried an air of straightforwardness. While I understand the importance of forgiveness, her actions have caused significant pain to many children. Had you not intervened, she would have inflicted pain upon me as well. Forgiveness is not a requirement. Take your time if you're not prepared. Perhaps one day you shall, or perhaps you shall not. Both options are perfectly acceptable. Ethan Miller paused for a moment, considering his thoughts, before returning to his task of planting. Gabriel's phone vibrated, signaling a message from Robert Miller. Excellent news. The Martinez boy was discovered in Phoenix. Thus, the total of children who have recovered stands at 12. The network crafted by Charlotte has reached its completion. Gabriel's lips curled into a smile. The inquiry revealed a trafficking network that stretched across several states, having been in operation for more than 2 decades. Numerous arrests had taken place, and children who had been lost for years were at last returning home. Here lies another piece, this time penned by Detective Santos. I thought it might be of interest to you. Last week, Richard Lawson passed away while incarcerated. Seemingly self-inflicted demise. Justice has been served. Without a word, Gabriel erased the message, leaving Ethan Miller in the dark. The boy remained blissfully unaware of Douglas's fate. Certain information was intended for adults to bear. Father, there appears to be a vehicle parked in the driveway. Ethan Miller remarked, casting his gaze toward the front of the house. Gabriel rose to his feet, his gaze fixed on the unmistakable silhouette of William Harris's SUV as it approached, through the glass of the windshield. he caught sight of David, Sarah, and Ethan Miller's younger sister, Emma. "It seems your other family has arrived for dinner," Gabriel remarked. Ethan Miller cast aside his trowel and dashed toward the house, a thrill coursing through him at the thought of reuniting with his sister. Gabriel trailed behind at a leisurely pace, still in awe of how seamlessly this unorthodox arrangement was unfolding. David encountered him at the threshold. "How was your week?" he inquired, their usual exchange. "Excellent. He sleeps peacefully, enjoys his meals, and has completed his summer reading." Gabriel passed Ethan Miller's backpack to him. "How are you all managing?" "Better," Sarah said, wrapping her arms around Gabriel in a swift embrace. Initially, she harbored doubts about him, perplexed by the deep bond her son seemed to share with a man who bore no blood relation. Yet over time, she began to recognize the authenticity and restorative power of Gabriel's love for Ethan Miller. All week long, Emma has been inquiring about her big brother. Their figures encircled Gabriel's dining room table, a gathering steeped in anticipation, a peculiar family portrait, yet filled with affection. Ethan Miller animatedly recounted the events of his week, while Emma absorbed every word, her eyes sparkling with admiration. David and Sarah shared with Gabriel the progress of their healing journey, detailing the support groups they had become a part of for families affected by trafficking. As the evening drew to a close and the Pattersons readied themselves to depart, Ethan Miller enveloped Gabriel in a warm embrace. "Looking forward to our camping trip on Friday. Are we still on?" Ethan Miller inquired. "I wouldn't dream of missing it. Perhaps next summer, as I grow older, David and Sarah might join us as well? And Emma?" Gabriel cast a glance at the Pattersons, who responded with a nod. "That seems like a splendid notion." As they departed, Gabriel offered a farewell wave from the front porch before retreating indoors to tidy up the remnants of dinner. The house resonated with a serene stillness, yet it was far from devoid of life. The refrigerator was adorned with Ethan Miller's artwork. The living room was a tapestry of his books, each one a fragment of his literary world, strewn about with a casual grace. The sound of his laughter lingered in the air, reverberating through the rooms. Gabriel found himself adrift, having lost the very life he once believed was his desire. An ideal union, the conventional family unit, the idyllic vision of suburban life. Yet what he had acquired was something infinitely more valuable. The understanding that love transcended biology, legalities, and societal norms. Love entailed being present, safeguarding those in need, and making a daily commitment to embody the trustworthy figure a child could rely on. The shrill sound of his phone pierced the silence. "Robert Miller." "Gabriel, I trust you won't mind my reaching out. It is with a sense of finality that I share the news of Maria Santos and my retirement from the realm of consulting work. We have outgrown this. You have truly deserved this respite. Perhaps. Yet, there exists another layer. The FBI is seeking your interest in collaborating on cybercrime cases that pertain to children. Your technological expertise intertwined with your involvement in this case. It is believed that you have the potential to make a significant impact on many children's lives." Gabriel surveyed the stillness of his home, his thoughts drifting to Ethan Miller and the countless other children beyond these walls, each one deserving a champion to stand up for them. "Affirmative," Gabriel instructed. "Absolutely, without a doubt." As the day drew to a close, the sun dipped behind the mountains, casting a warm glow of orange and gold across the sky. In a distant part of the town, Ethan Miller was likely assisting Sarah in settling Emma into her bed, his gentle voice weaving tales that served as a daily reminder to Gabriel that virtue could indeed prevail against darkness. Gabriel had come to understand that family was not merely a matter of birthright. It was a decision you embraced, a battle you waged, a treasure you safeguarded with every ounce of your being. And on rare occasions, if fortune smiled upon you, you found yourself doing it a second time. Here lies the conclusion of our tale. We invite you to express your thoughts in the comments section below. I appreciate your time. If this tale resonates with you, consider subscribing to this channel. Engage with the video displayed on your screen, and I look forward to our encounter there.